How are you?
Oh, pretty good for a Sunday morning. Has the book already published?
Book is coming out on the 24th of May.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, I think it's 5 minutes and then we can start. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming to support Fizza Abbas, our third author now of our first chapbook series at Fahmidan Publishing & Co. My name is Anthony Salandi. I am the co-editor-in-chief of Fahmidan Publishing & Co. and Fahmidan Journal, along with our co-editor-in-chief, Rana, and our senior editor, Yasmin Dashti, and our junior editors, Ariba and Farah. Just to give a little bit of backstory about the cover. So this was designed by Farah Hassan, who is our graphic illustrator at Fahmidan Journal and Publishing, of course. And I think it really reflects the focus of the collection. It's a very, very emotive collection. It's something that we were all drawn to, of course, as a press that only publishes women and people of color. So yeah, thank you all for coming. Yeah, Fizza, if you'd like to read some poems yeah.
Hello, everyone. So, thank you so much for joining us. So, the poem that I'm going to read from the collection is. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The poem that I'm going to read is the poem that I wrote for my mother who passed away in August 2019. And the poem is an ode to my mother. And I just want to begin. So, uh, the title is Mom, Do You Miss Your Daughter? You were never asleep. I saw your patched purple fingers in motion, hesitantly carving an image of a dark brown girl with yellow teeth and a dandelion head on the crisp white sheets of the bed. You bellied up with this tiny fairy in the canvas, moving the eye of the needle onto the thread, wide awake. Beyond the veil you can't poke through or crush the wind with the shield. I flipped the pages, marked the variances, the hieroglyphical names, the unknown numbers, the half erased addresses in Daddy's little silent cracker, referred to as phone directory, this thread of the veil. There are some traces of the fairyland where you live with your candy pink doll down the memory lane. So that's about it. Uh, the next poem that I'm going to read is uh, is a poem that I written for Shia genocide that occurred in Pakistan last year. So yeah, just a second. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So the title is Shias Are Kafirs. I always spoke in low, hushed tones, uttered a soft no when they called me a kafir. Because my mama taught me that's what Prophet Muhammad preached. Be kind, she would say. I never told her how many times I rinsed my mouth with blood before uttering the well knitted no. Each time they pushed me aside in a school assembly, calling me a non believer. I'm still kind. It's just that my blood is now dry. Okay, so the third poem that I'm going to read is The Diva. The title of the poem is Diva. It's a poem by men for a woman. Like, I imagine that if a man would write or describe a woman, how would he do that? So, yeah, it's more of a satirical poem. The Diva, a poem by men for a woman. I string, in the process of becoming, takes all the chances, good, bad, ugly, whatsoever. She is in the pursuit of evolution. For her, learning engulfs the word judgment. Happy, because this is the only word that resonates with her process. Years pass by, and she is still buckled into her own self, still strapped by her charming, bubbly nature, the only constant that she can afford. She still yearns to evolve herself, not realizing how many sheets of evolution her life already ensembles. When she will realize, she will start unfurling herself. And in the process of deconstruction, she will become an identity of identification, but not herself. So, guys, that's about it from my side.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, those are really brilliant, really really brilliant, emotive poems, and I think anyone would be lucky to be able to read them. I know our entire team really really loved this collection, and yeah, we're really really grateful to have you as one of our authors at Fahmidan. So Ariba will be starting with some questions, and then we'll open up to the audience for any questions they have as well. So Ariba, if you'd like to go ahead.
Hello, just gonna check if everybody can hear me. It's all good.
Yep.
Okay. I'm really excited to be taking over for this half because I'm Pakistani as well, and I loved seeing all the linguistic features towards Urdu as well. So we're gonna start off with some very generic questions and then go a bit more into the writing and specific poems, for example, and then we're gonna open up to the audience. So I would like to ask. What was your inspiration behind writing this book?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Reba, for this question. So, when I was a child, my mother has always instilled the love for written word in me. We used to read Urdu poets like Ghalib, Mir Taqi Mir Dard. So that's how I spent my childhood. And since my mother had also a background in literature, so that also encouraged me to pursue poetry and to read more and to even try some. So as I grew older, so I it actually increased my love for poetry, and I started reading some of the writers of English, because before that I hadn't done that. So stumbled upon Khalil Gibran, his book The Prophet, and that really inspired me. That the art of written word in English, I experienced that for the first time in that book. And soon it I read other books of Khalil Gibran, like Broken Wings and others, and that that after that I wrote my first poem, and that was basically a love poem that I wrote inspired by his work. Then the process continued, and I kept on reading poets, Sylvia Plath and Billy Collins, and the journey kept moving on. But since I'm a non-native English speaker, so I always had this people asking around me that do you think you will be able to write poetry in English? Because in here in my place, we people believe that you only need to have you have to be a native of a particular place in order to write well, or in order to encapsulate your words or your thoughts into that particular language. So since I speak Urdu, my mother tongue is Urdu, so nobody had expected me to just to write in English. And because of that, I got discouragement and people bullied me. But I tried to overcome that somehow and kept on moving. And then when I got married, my husband supported me, and to the best of his capabilities. And then he gave me a goal to write, and to write and get my work published in 50 journals. So started in doing that. But while I was doing that, I realized that not a lot of people can't express themselves the way they want to. So I thought that maybe I can try to become a voice for them. So that's how I started writing. And that is how it began. So Ool Jalul is really about my journey as a writer.
That sounds so inspiring and beautiful. So like just going based off of that, since you kind of experienced the best of both worlds relating to Urdu literature and English literature, would you like to give our audience some context as to maybe some similarities or differences between those two different types of literature?
Yeah, sure. So, in Urdu literature, what I found most interesting is that, so let's talk about the similarities first. So, in Urdu, we have literary devices, like we have tajbih, that we call simile in Urdu. We have metaphors. We have other literary devices, that stanzas. We have stanzas in our poems in Urdu. We have ghazals, that now people are writing ghazals in English as well. So these are most probably the similarities. But what I find more interesting, or maybe a little different between the two, is that Urdu poetry is more colloquial. That's what I found. And English poetry is more from the it is colloquial, but it has those kind of it has those kind of layers that I found not a lot in Urdu poets. Like, obviously, if we talk about Iqbal, if we talk about Ghalib, then you find those kind of layers. But when it comes to other writers, it's more on the the purpose is to convey the message to the simpler masses, to the simpler audience. So that's what I found.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you for giving us some context. I just wanted to talk about that and have you talk about it for a bit, just because um, your book incorporates a lot of Urdu as well. So I just wanted to have all of our audience have some background with both literatures, right? So let's go based off of that. What made you choose the specific title, Ul Jalul?
Okay, so it's a funny story. So I'm a very clumsy person. So my mother used to call me that. Ul Jalul is an Urdu word which means clumsy. So my mother used to call me that. So since my mother is no more, so I thought to pay note to her. And since the book is a mix and match of all kind of poems and different subjects, so I thought that a mix and match, and with my personality as well as the book, that will resonate. So which is why I chose the title Ul Jalul.
I love that. I love that you're defining it as a book about you and your journey. So how long have you been writing the book? I know you've said you've been on your writer's journey for a while now, from with your background in literature, with your mom and everything. So how long have you been writing this book specifically?
Okay, so it's basically a collection of all the poems that I wrote within the last 4 years, and especially a major chunk of those, the ones that I wrote, especially in the last year. So due to COVID, I got a lot of time to work on poetry and to write, and I found a lot of things to write about, to be honest. So this is how long it took. So it's basically a crux of all that I have learned, my personal experiences, and then my journey.
Now that sounds great. So, with your personal journey, do you think there's any advice you'd like to give to other writers that might have been in your position?
I just want to say that just pursue writing, because in Pakistan especially there is this misconception that if you are non-native writer, so it means that your work won't get published in international platforms, and you will not get that kind of recognition. So I just want to say that just keep striving and you will definitely get there, because it just takes hard work and perseverance.
Okay. Well, once you guys get a copy of the book, you'll understand how much of her culture and our culture is put into the book, her and her identity. So, how do you feel that your culture and your identity has affected your writing over the years?
Okay, so it actually impacted a lot, because in Urdu, I mean in Pakistan, we usually speak Urdu. So that really, I wanted others who don't know about the language to get a taste of what it's like to be in Pakistan, what it's like to speak Urdu. Because when I used to read other poets, so what I used to notice is that if they are from any specific country, so there would be a line or a word that would be there in the poem, that would take us back to the journey of the writer or the place that the person is born in. So that's exactly what I wanted to do, that if a person is like, oh, Jalool, so what does that mean? I mean, like, the person will definitely search for words, and that where Urdu comes, and that where culture from comes from. So that's exactly what I wanted to incorporate, to give everybody a taste of my place, my culture.
That's amazing because I feel like anybody reading the book is going to go ahead and do some research and they're going to get educated, right? So it's a great way that your book is bringing awareness to Pakistani culture and some funny words here and there, some really powerful words as well. So, do you have any other poetry collections or anything other like that? And where have you any other publications you want to bring some light to?
Yeah, sure. So, another collection of mine, Bakho, is forthcoming by the end of this year. And apart from that, four of my poems are coming in, one in Moonchild magazine, the other in, there's another magazine, Sledgehammer Lit. And also, this is like the Moonchild one is like my fourth paid publication. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm looking forward to it. It's hopefully going to be live in July. So, and I really love that journal. It was my dream journal, so I'm very excited about that.
So you must feel really proud finally accomplishing that goal. I mean, you mentioned that your husband set some goals for you as well. And do you think those goals helped you basically structure your writer's journey?
Yeah, to a greater extent, because earlier I used to write, but I did not know where I'm going from. So now I know that what I want to write about, and what exactly, because I just don't want to go about just writing and then sending it to journals. My goal is basically to be a voice for those who think that maybe they are not allowed to voice their opinions, or maybe they think that maybe people will make fun of them, because I have always been bullied for expressing my opinions. So I don't want others to suffer the same.
Okay. So when I was reading your book and when our editorial team was reading your book, we noticed that you had some dedications to a few people. So would you like to talk about those people and why you dedicated the book to them specifically?
Yeah, definitely. So, starting with my husband, obviously, he has been an immense support to my journey, and he's still supporting me, like, to the best of his capabilities. Obviously, his name is there. Then I have dedicated it to my sister, and Kamni Abbas. And when I was a kid, so she used to I wanted to learn English, so she used to take me to different places to to just she was like, I want you to learn something, I want you to learn it, I want you to learn it, because I did not have the resource to do that. So which is why I dedicated to her. And then obviously my mother, for all that she has done for me. And then my two best friends, it's Jayant Mukherjee and Zainab Hussain, and they have been like, have been with me through thick and thin, and which is the reason that I have dedicated it to them. And my teachers, Mrs. Abdi, Miss Amber, and Miss Alia, because they believed in me even when I did not know what I want to do in my life. And then Louis Peterkin, of course, because she has been immense support. She has supported me. I used to send her my poems like that, and she used to help me. You can do that, you can do this. So she was very helpful, and obviously she wrote the blurb, and which is like, I'm a biggest fan of her, so it's like, a dream come true that she wrote a blurb. So yeah, this is the reason.
So I just thought of this and I wanted to ask. So you've obviously had some kind of struggle on your writer's journey as well. But you said you started off with background in Urdu poetry, and then it was hard for you to basically transition to writing in English. So what would you advise to other people going through the same thing, second language writers? What would you tell them, any aims or any goals they should keep in mind to make that transition easier for them?
I would just say that it's often difficult to make sentences, or you have to, you think in Urdu because you are speaking Urdu, and then you have to write it in English. So sometimes some things get lost in translation. So what I do in order to avoid that is that I have started thinking in English, so it helps. So this is one of the tips. And apart from that, just read all English poets, whatever you find, just explore, just read as much as you can, because it really helps, because that okay, so this is how it works. So it really helps, like it really helps me, because I read both established poets as well as the contemporary ones, and it is very 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 helpful, because I know that how I want to approach the subject. So it is helpful in this regard.
Okay, so in your poems and your book collection, I noticed a lot of them have some kind of social commentary to it. Are any of them based off of or inspired off of real life events, or any type of social commentary that you would very specifically like to bring some light onto?
Yeah, sure. So, a couple of poems have been inspired by those who I have observed around me. Like, for instance, the Unburned Toast is a tale of a woman who committed suicide because she couldn't get the aid for her children during the COVID times. So one of that is about that, and the second one, the one that I read, the one about sectarian violence. So it is about an incident that occurred in Pakistan last year. I think most probably everybody would be aware of that. It was between two sects, and that really resulted into a lot of chaos in the entire country. People protested, and nothing good came out of it. But yeah, people found it a reason to hate others. So this is the reason that I wrote that one. So yeah.
That's great. Do you think you're more likely to try different types of forms and structure while writing your poems? Because I noticed in a few of your introductory poems, you used the idea of writing a recipe, and that's how you structured your poem. Where did you come up with that? Because that's really creative, and like, how did you get that idea?
So I'm a content writer by profession, so I have to write on a different subject. So there was a time when I was concocting a food recipe because I wanted to send it to a client. So in order to do that, so this is how I structured it. So when I was writing about this particular subject, I thought that would be a great way to communicate the idea that I'm trying to convey. So which is why I chose this style.
Okay, that's great. Um, are there any specific topics you want to bring awareness to through your book?
uh, uh, the first one is sexual harassment, because I have seen that not a lot of people talk about it because they think it's a taboo subject. And since most have been a victim to it as well, so this is also a reason. So that is one of the things that I want to raise awareness about primarily, basically. And apart from that, it's obviously it's harmony, because in Pakistan, people fight about very trivial things. I mean, I've
Yeah.
noticed. So that is something that I basically wanted to create harmony between people, which is the reason that I wrote some of the words in Urdu, because I thought that maybe everybody in Pakistan and even beyond that would be able to relate to that without thinking about what is my caste or what is my creed. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
the reason.
Yeah. All of that sounds great. It's been lovely hearing you talk about it, and we can really hear the passion and creativity that you've put behind this book. So, unfortunately, I'm out of questions here, and I think it's a good time to kind of just open some questions to the audience, because I think we've given everyone some perspective and some things to think about. So, if the audience would like to ask a question, that would be great. Yeah, so Susie?
Yeah, I don't have any questions because I've gotten to know Fizza myself, but I just wanted to say congratulations. Wonderful. I'm glad that you published this, or it's going to be published very soon. So
Thank
congratulations
you.
on all
Thank
your
you so
efforts.
much. Thank you, Susie. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
It's so nice to see all the support you've been receiving today. So, is there anyone else that would like to ask anything? Anyone in the chat?
Well, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, as Reba said, or just unmute yourself, I guess. I did have a question, anyways, about the collection. I wanted to ask, so besides the familial influence and the experiences that you went through, like, how do you feel that writing has given you the courage, I think, more to put forward your perspective, especially, going through, being bullied and things like that, and, being a woman of color and things, so obviously in Pakistan, but abroad, how do you feel that, like, your work has been critically received as different voice, online?
I can't hear you. Sorry. Can you please
Sorry, can you hear
repeat?
me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
So my question was, how do you think that, aside from your familial background and your experiences, like being bullied and things like that, how do you feel that writing has kind of given you like a sense of, I don't know, confidence or a sense of drive? And how do you think as well that's been perceived as perhaps as a woman of color, or as a woman speaking from an outside perspective online, to a mainly, I'd say, Western audience, as you can see, from Fahmidan and things like that? How do you think that's impacted your work?
Basically, I think that uh, writing has empowered me to talk about things that don't think that I would have any other outlet to talk about, especially in Pakistan. Like, if I would talk to anybody that, don't kill this person or don't do that, nobody's going to listen to me, because they're like, who the hell are you? I mean, like, and but I think that written word has a lot more power when it comes to convincing people, or when it comes to stopping crimes, of not exactly like, in terms of, it's not something that obviously law is there to do a lot of things, but what I really mean is that it really changes mindset, it really changes perspective. And people really believe in what they read, because art influences everybody. So I have been influenced by art, and similar, a lot of people would have been, definitely. So I believe that that really helps people to think about other people, or to think another perspective altogether. So this is what I think, that this is what really inspires me to write, or this is how I see writing itself.
Great, thank you so much. So yeah, just to answer for the chat, in case anyone hasn't seen as well, the book will be available internationally if you're coming from abroad. obviously. So yeah, so if anyone else has any more questions, please do let us know while we're here.
Hey, Fizza. Can you hear me?
Hi, I'm so excited to see you.
Hey, I just wanted to say hi and hello from everyone at Verse. We all love your writing, and thank you so much for having this amazing voice. Every time I read one of your poems, when it comes through or we publish it, it just takes my breath away. And I'm constantly amazed at your bravery, your courage, all of those things. Not everyone can do this. Not everyone can write and put these things out into the world. And I just want to say thank you, a collective thank you. Your work is going to be amazing. It's going to live on for many, many years. It will outlive you. And congratulations on all of your success. And we just love you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It really nice coming from you. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
We actually have a few questions in the chat, if no one minds me reading them out. So we have one from Hiram. Please correct me if I've mispronounced that. Which is, if you had the opportunity to ask Khalil Gibran a question, what would it be?
Why did you love Salma Karame so much? What was the reason?
That's actually interesting. Can you say a little bit more about that for those who aren't familiar with the writings?
Yeah, so it's a reference from his book Broken Wings, which is a love story to this woman that I have named Salma Karame. And when I read that book, that I was in tears, though I don't know anything about love. I did not know what love is, and how do you feel when you are in love. But when I read that book, I was like all teary eyed, because the devotion and the compassion that Khalil Gibran had felt for this woman is beyond. I can't even imagine it. So which is why I just want to ask this question.
It's actually quite poetic that you loved a book about an emotion you couldn't feel, and your writing kind of does the same thing. I mean, I don't completely relate to everything personally that was in your writing, and yet I remember when me and Anthony and Reba and the whole team read it, we were like, wow, this is so beautiful. I love this. Such great work. Sorry, I'm looking at the questions. Yasmin actually asks, she says, congrats again. Just wanted to ask about your experience as a bilingual writer and how it impacted your poetic journey.
Okay, so it was very difficult, honestly, because as I told earlier, that I used to think in Urdu. So even when I used to think about lines, used to come to me in Urdu. So it was very difficult, because sometimes what I want to say used to get lost in in a different way. So if I used to choose words differently, because in Urdu we say something, and then in English we translate it, so it just gets lost there. But when I started reading other writers, it really helped me, because I know how to approach the subject, what is the context, how a context, and how to put it there, how to provide a context to a particular thought. So this is how it really helped me, because after reading other writers, it became a lot more easier.
As your husband, I'm about to interject. I
Um,
want you to
we have
answer
too
my
many
question in the
questions.
chat.
Please continue typing.
uh,
If you don't want to.
yeah, I think my husband has also asked a question, and he wants me to answer that as well. Okay, so let me read the question. Yeah, okay, so he's asking about the longest that I've submitted to a journal before getting accepted. So it's 2 years. It's 2 years. So I was striving towards a particular journal, and my work was not getting accepted there. But I was a huge admirer of that journal. So I just kept trying, and I don't know. Like last year, I got acceptance, so it was like a great moment for me. So it was two journals actually were like that. I don't want to name the journals, but yeah, they are my one of my favorite journals.
So, did you not have any other acceptances, or is that just for the specific goal towards those two journals that you were striving for an acceptance from?
Sorry, I can't follow you.
So I just meant like, did that mean you had no other acceptances during those 2 years, or it was just for those
No, no, no,
journals
no.
specifically?
I had acceptances from other journals, but I was particularly more excited, more really keen towards getting published in those journals. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll go on to a question that Assad has asked as well. They're asking if you have any tips on dealing with rejection.
Okay, so it's a very funny tip. I don't know whether it's going to work for you or not, but for me, what really worked for that, you need to, basically, you need to fuel your negativity, your self doubt, and to a point that it starts burning you up, and you have no other option but to start trying what you really want to do. So that really helped me because I had so much negativity in me. I had so much self doubt, and I actually fueled it up to a point that really I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything else other than just do what I want to do. So yeah, that helped me.
Okay. Well, as a publication, I'd like to ask a questions as well. So, as a writer, what do you look for while submitting to certain publications or journals?
I read the work of the writers there first, who are already published, and the overall ethos of the journal. So and if they have certain things that I believe in, like for instance, there are certain journals that don't publish women of color. So if there are any such journals, I don't like to even consider them for submission, because it's a disgrace for everybody. uh, so this is something that I really focus on, that if they need to have that ethos, and there are a lot of journals online that really talk about women empowerment, and they avoid these kind of sexist statements, and because people are there who do and write things like that. So that is how I look for in a journal.
So, does that mean you're more motivated to submit to journals that have a certain focus on maybe person of color or women writers?
No, not exactly that, but they also need not to have any biases, any prejudices against such people. So yeah, if a journal is like I have had so many, I have like a lot of journals online who really don't talk about misogyny or any other things, and they don't even mention that they publish or not publish women of color. So I simply send my work there. But if there are some journals who dislike uh, non-native writers, I have such biases or something like that, so I prefer to stay to avoid them.
Okay. Well, Rabani has asked a question. So, how do you find journals? A lot of writers don't know how to identify, how to submit, and where to find journals. So, what's your process? If you could just go over that.
Yeah, sure. So I actually go towards a couple of websites, like Poet and Writers is a very useful platform for writers. Apart from that, since I read and follow other writers, so I see that while reading their work, obviously I'm reading their work in online, if not in a book. So it is usually in a particular platform. So this is how I come to know that, okay, so this is a journal where I can consider submitting. So this is how I do it. So this is how I find that obviously online, as well as there are some writers, like there are some poetry books as well, because where writer mentioned their credentials, and obviously in the credentials they mention the journals where they are
Yeah.
published in. So this is how I find, that's my process.
So, as a poet or a writer, how many emails do you find yourself sending on a daily basis for submissions?
Actually a lot, and sometimes, like, there I see two acceptances, and after that straight four rejections.
So,
And yeah, sure.
sorry, yeah. So I was just gonna ask, like, how do you recommend, and how do you recommend dealing with that rejection and staying motivated for all like the prospective writers, sorry.
It you need to be very, perseverant. Like you need to know what you believe in, why actually do you write. That is a very important question, because we really don't write so that we get acceptances from a journal. We write for the people, for the masses, and obviously for ourselves, but as well as for the masses. So if you are writing for people who can't express themselves the way they want to, if you want to be a voice for them, so it rejections don't really matter, because obviously you will get there. But if you have, it's really about rejections. There's a way to strengthen your voice even further. So it's a rejection. So okay, so I this is how I think that, okay, so if I get a rejection, maybe my voice, my words couldn't reach that person, so maybe I need to be a little louder. So I need to work a bit on my work, so my words can resonate with that person as well. So when I get acceptance and then I get rejection from another journals, I'm like, okay, so it is not resonating well with this person or that journal. So this is how I do it. My voice needs to be louder, so every rejection tells me that, so I focus on that.
Well, I think Kamran Abbas wants to ask a question as well. Would you like to go yourself? Because I've noticed your mic is unmuted. Or would you like me to read it out?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's better you will ask her.
Okay. So they want to ask, if where do you see yourself coming in 5 years? What are your targets?
So my current target is to get published in 10,000 journals by the end of 2030. So I'm really focusing towards that. Apart from that, since I'm not really into conventional poetry, I haven't read much about it, because I'm no literature student. So I'm really focusing on that, to focus on different styles, and to explore with them, and to read more about how those things come into place. So this is what my focus is on currently.
Okay. I think now we're just going to ask if there's any other last questions that people might want to ask. Anything else? Any advice that, well, clearly Fizz has had an amazing journey as a writer. This is the perfect time to get any advice or tips or anything else that you guys might want, or any other questions about her book.
I have a question for you. I've had people ask me this, and so I want to ask this to you. When you write your poetry, and some of it, is very intense, does it affect you emotionally? Like the day that you write it, does it upset you in any way, or do you just kind of, take it in stride?
No, it actually affects me on a very deep and emotional level at times. Sometimes I'm crying when I finish writing. So yeah, it really affects me.
I mean, that's how you know that you actually feel the emotion you put into your writing, right? So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for answering all our questions. I think now I'm going to just hand it off to Rana so she can just talk about your book a bit more and everything.
Oh, okay, that was just a message in the chat. Hi. I just want to say thank you everyone for coming. Actually, let me show you. So this is the test copy. This is the copy we always print out to make sure everything's all good and dandy. So this is Fizza's book coming out on the 24th of May. Pre-orders will be available tomorrow night, I believe. Tomorrow night, Anthony, we will have them open for tomorrow night. Time feels a little fake for me right now. Not sleeping much, but yeah, we will have pre-orders available. It was so wonderful to hear everyone's questions. It was so wonderful to have Fizza and publish her writing. If you have any questions for Anthony and I as to the actual publishing of the book, what is the price? I believe for the book, we have an ebook price and we have a physical book price. Would you like to know both of them? I can pull up both of them for you. The physical book is $10.50 and the ebook will be $5.50. US dollars, not Canadian dollars. Any other questions about the actual book? It's a wonderful book. It looks beautiful, and I'm so excited for all of you to have it. thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we can't wait to see where your work goes, Fizza. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for publishing this. It was a dream for me to, see my work and, in this printed form. And thanks a lot. Thanks so much.
Of course. All right. Thank you all for coming. Bye.